Hi, today I'm doing a review on the Elemental Assassin series by Jennifer Estep. And this series is an example of when the author tries to make her series fit into a niche when it's not necessary. Because it is a paranormal series, but like if you took out all the magic elements, it would have been fine by the story itself. But anyway, the story is about a girl called Jin, or as she was known in a past life, Genevieve, and as she's kind of known as, and her secret identity is the Spider, because she is a trained assassin. So, like, she's kind of like a killer for hire, which makes her different to a lot of the main characters, like they're in books. And she has this really sad background and this really kind of unusual upbringing, but her foster father Fletcher took her in when she was about 14, and he's also an assassin, and he trained her to be one. And but it's not like in the cold way you think. Like, he was loving towards her, and she has a foster brother then called Finn, and I really love their relationships, because I said this before, I don't know why, but I like relationships, like family type relationships between people who aren't related by blood, and there was a really nice kind of one there. But yeah, so she's a trained assassin and people hire her and she kills people, blah blah blah. But the thing is, she, like, in this world as well, there's people can control elemental magic. So she has the ability to control stone and ice, and like she can communicate with like the wall to see who was in this building before and things like that. And her ability to control ice isn't as strong. And some people can control fire and some people can control air. So, I mean, that part was totally unnecessary, I felt, though. I really, like, the author knew paranormal type books were in, so she wanted to throw in some paranormal elements. But the story was absolutely fine without it. Oh yeah, but there's 5 books in this series, I forgot to say that. And the 6th one's out in November. I wasn't really excited by these books, and I skimmed it in parts, because it's just so average. I probably will read the 6th book when it's out in November, just to see what happens. I mean, I've read the first 5, I might as well see what happens. The writing is one thing that's annoying, in that, for example, every time, like, there's too much info from previous books mentioned in, the book you're reading. Like, it's just like a lot, and every time Jin hears a name, the reader has to take a step out while Jin explains who this character is for half a page, and we already know who this person is. And every time there's runes in the series, like magic runes or whatever, and she has one on her hand, and every time she sees a rune, for paragraphs she would go back to the rune on her hand and explain its origin for ages. And like, we already know all this, so the author goes through things so much and goes over things, and it was just a lot, and it got really irritating after a while. Another thing, the story of Jin's past was compelling. There was new revelations added to it in each book, and it kept going. I was like, how much more could we learn about that one night? Because it all goes back to this one important night in her childhood. So that got annoying as well. Everything got annoying to me. But yeah, that was another negative point, in that, like, I didn't feel that night was epic enough to have so many new revelations each time. So yeah, that wasn't great. One thing that I liked about it, and I think every plot needs a certain complexity to it, and this series has it in the fact Jin, she has 3 different identities. And there's Jin, the kind of cook, she works in a restaurant. There's Genevieve, her kind of past self, and there's the Spider, the assassin. So you have to keep up with who knows, like, who's aware of which identity and who's unaware of the others, because there's so many different characters in it, and some will know who her past self is, and some know her as the assassin, and some just know her as the cook. So I like that bit, to keep up with who knows what. So that was a good point. So yeah, the next one's out in November, and yeah, I probably will read just to see what happens. But yeah, it's not the most exciting series for me, unfortunately. so that's my review. Do I recommend this series? Not that much, because there are better ones out there. I mean, if you have a to read list, I put it near the bottom because it's not that much of a priority. But it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't tell you to run out and buy it, but if you feel like reading it, sure, go ahead. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the spoiler review. If you don't want to know any details or spoilers, stop now. Okay, so as I said, the love interest in the first two books, which was Donovan. Yeah, Donovan. Yeah, I did not get this love interest at all because it was not romantic to read and it was not enjoyable to read. Like Donovan, he absolutely loathed Jin, and I ultimately hated himself for feeling something for her. And then I felt it was terrible how awful he made her feel for that. I was like, this is not a nice couple to root for. Like, yeah, it was terrible. And the fact that it went on for 2 books, I was like, this is not an enjoyable romance. But then Owen came in and he was just a breath of fresh air as a love interest because he genuinely liked the girl and he didn't make her feel like crap. So yeah, I think the author messed up there with that story element. As I said as well, I liked Fletcher instantly and his relationship with Jin and that fatherly thing. But then he died way too soon in the books. I was really disappointed. I know it probably had to show that Jin had to kind of step up and kind of become the lone assassin or whatever, and I don't know. But I suppose what we did have to fall back on was her relationship with Finn, because it still had that nice kind of brotherly thing. But yeah, I thought it was a pity that Fletcher died so soon. So that night when Genevieve was 14 or whatever and she was tortured and the room got burned in her palm and her older sister and her mother died and her younger sister got away, that night has been referenced so many times and it took us a long while to finally figure out what really happened. But then with each book there was some new revelation, like that was not needed. There didn't need to be more info added with each book, and also new info about Fletcher added in each book. Like every time in each new book we find out that Fletcher knew something more about Genevieve, and that was like, oh, it just dragged on, and like I hope there's no more, there can't be any more things added to that one night and to about Fletcher, so I hope that storyline is done with now. Like, it wasn't that epic a night, it didn't need that many revelations. The map Monroe is another thing that's kind of dragging out. It needs to kind of end in the next book. If it does end in the next book, I don't really see much more needed. Could be the last one. I like the 5th one, as I said, just because we finally know things kind of, all the loose ends are tied up, and Bria finally finding out who Genevieve was. And I kind of liked the reunion thing. Actually, just to let you know, on Jennifer Estep's website, she's lots of short stories to go with the series, which is nice, and they're from different people's point of view. So there's one from Fletcher's, I think there's one from Finn's, and there's one from Sophia, I think, and which I kind of like, and yeah, there's a few in there, so go check them out if you're really interested in the series and want to see how other people, like I did think it was interesting to read those actually. So yeah, that's my review, and as I said, it's an average series, not wholly recommended, just because there's much better ones out there to read, but I'd put it at your, the end of your to read list if you have time. And that's my review, and thank you very much for watching, and tune in next time.